Hello everyone. Today I want to review this very interesting camera, film camera actually. This is the Canon EOS-1 V. Okay, this is Canon's top of the line, latest generation film camera, introduced in year 2000. And this actually represents Canon's best of the best technology incorporated into any of their film cameras today. Now, unfortunately, shortly after the introduction of the 1V, the digital photography take us by storm, and film photography is pretty much dead few years past 2000. Now, that shouldn't discourage us from owning one of those if you are really a big fan of film photography and you still shoot films today. So I want to just go over some of its features and also just play around with this camera to see why it is one of the best among the top-end professional film cameras around. So this camera features a 100% magnesium body. The top plate is magnesium, and it is magnesium all around. The underlying body structure is magnesium. So top plated magnesium, but it still features some of the plastic pieces on the exterior of the camera. Now the bottom plate, I believe, is plastic, and the film door, I believe, is also plastic. Okay, how you can tell is you basically just put back of your hands onto those materials. The metal part is always going to feel colder compared to the plastic part, and that's how I know that some of those components are plastic. But rest assured, the internal cage is fully magnesium. Now, what also is nice about this camera is it's 100% weatherproof. That means all the underlying areas, the joints, have a rubber seal all around. So if you're shooting this camera in the rain, for example, if you're covering the Olympics back in the days, you don't have to worry about this camera getting soaked and electronic components being broken because it's weatherproof. Now, this lens, obviously, it's a low-end lens. It's entry-level Canon 50mm f1.8 Series 2. I bought this camera and the lens separately, so this is not waterproof. If it rains, this lens is going to break. You need to use this with Canon's top-end L series lenses to be 100% waterproof, okay, in the rain. So keep that in mind, okay? But other than that, it is waterproof. Now, I believe the AF system that is in this camera also represents Canon's best efforts at autofocusing. It's got 45 selectable AF points inside the camera. Okay, 45, and it's for a autofocus camera, it is really one of the best. Now, also keep in mind that the AF points is not covering the entire frame. It covers maybe the central point, like somewhere around here, with 45 selectable AF points. But regardless, it is still one of the best because if you use full AF mode, it selects the AF point based on its smart computation, which for the most part is always going to be accurate. If you're shooting people, it always selects the right points for the people to make an exposure, before you press the shutter. Okay, so that's really, really nice. Now, another thing that's really nice about this camera is the viewfinder. It's really one of the best. It's nice and clear. And let me see if I can try to show you guys. Probably not. Okay, let me see. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit and see if I can incorporate the entire viewfinder. Nope. Kind of hard to show with the DJI Osmo, but just take my words. This viewfinder is one of the best. Very, very clear. Very, very easy to see, easy to focus, and easy to see all the exposure information surrounding the viewfinder. It also has a adjustable eyepiece. So let me take this apart, see if I can. So if you take the eyepiece off, you can see there is a diopter adjustment for people that doesn't wear glasses but needs a slight adjustment. Otherwise, if you wear glasses, take my words, it's great for glass wearers because you don't have to go so close to see the entire viewfinder, which is really, really handy, okay? And you have a viewfinder eyepiece lock, very, very nice. It's integrated right here for long exposure or whatever exposure that you need. But keep in mind, this camera is 100% electric. Right now, it's out of the battery. So let me just change the battery for you so you guys can see how it works, okay? The battery is incorporated into the grip, which is really nice. You just loosen this little securing piece, and once it's loosened, you can just pull the battery out, or the grip out, by just pulling it down, which is going to expose the battery area. Let's see. Hard to do. All right. So you slide it down, it exposes the front area, okay? This is kind of the internal. Now, you can also attach a battery grip, which is the HS battery grip. So if you put the HS battery grip on, it becomes EOS-1 V high speed, HS. With that grip, you're able to capture at a much faster frame rate, up to 10 frames per second. But without that battery grip, with the lithium battery, you're getting about 3.5 frames per second, which is still pretty fast for a film camera, okay? The battery is hidden in here. It's a lithium-ion battery. The actual battery model is 2CR5. Again, it's a lithium battery. It's not a common battery, but it's not that costly. Each battery is going to last you about, I would say, 30 to 50 frames if you shoot a lot. Otherwise, it actually also, it slowly drains the battery. So if you don't use it after 1 or 2 months, the battery itself gets fully drained. So if you don't use the camera, take the battery out. Next time, if you need to use the camera after a while, put the battery back in there for the best longevity of the battery life. Okay, that's the tip that I can give you guys. All right, so the battery, again, is hidden in this battery grip. You open this, it slides out, which is a really, really cool design, okay? Let's just put a new battery in so I can show you guys some of the features of the camera. This battery is lithium, so make sure you recycle it properly at your local lithium-ion battery recycler. Putting a brand new battery in here. And let's slide it in. Now it only goes in one way, so if you put it around, it just wouldn't close the door. And now the battery is in. We slide this back into the frame. And we should see, once I turn the power on, you'll see the digital LCD display is on. Let me close the battery door. Okay. All right, let me just use my hand for now. And this is the power button. So you're gonna just turn the power on. The display is on, and you can hear. Now this is a not a ultra silent wave motor, the USW or whatever it's called. So this is just a standard AF linked motor. All right, so the focusing is actually really, really interesting. Okay, so it's got all the selectable focusing point in there. Nope, still not able to see. Yeah, it's kind of sucks. It's kind of hard to tell you guys what I'm seeing. So there are a couple of different exposure or like AF options. If you press the AF button, it goes into selection mode, and if you turn this, it's going to change the focusing point inside, which is highlighted in red. Okay. Once you've finished with selecting your single focusing point, you can just press it again, or you just half press the shutter button, and it selects that focusing point. Exposure compensation dial is here. You can change it. So if you used any modern day Canon DSLR cameras, this is pretty much the same operation, okay? The modern day camera settings is all based on the EOS-1 V design, or the classic Canon design, button designs. You press this, and you can change the exposure, and you press the shutter button again, you exit into the shooting mode. the top plate displays the exposure mode. Right now it's matrix mode. Right now we're in aperture priority mode, and battery is full. We're in one shot, we're not in continuous shooting. Again, the operation of selecting the focusing point and locking the AF and changing the modes, by today's standards, with a lot of modern DSLR or mirrorless cameras, it feels a little bit slower to use. However, I'm not, a dedicated Canon user, so that's why I'm a little bit slow when it comes to changing the focusing point, selecting the focusing point. And for the most part, I probably just want to use the auto servo AF mode for the best, easiest convenience. And that's the point of using the 1V camera, is its smart focusing, it's fast focusing, and it's smart exposure. Over here on the top right corner, you have a whole bunch of options for selecting the drive modes. The selecting drive mode, you have to press those two buttons. Once you select those two buttons, you press it, and you're going to change this to select a self-timer, a continuous shooting, or a single shooting mode. Okay? So this is the drive mode with a self-timer of 10 seconds. And most of the things are changed with this top selection button. Okay? Right now in the AF mode, you can use this top button to change the aperture. And this button, I don't think it's doing anything in this mode. You can also change the mode by just pressing this button. So right now we are in the AV mode, the aperture priority. We are in program mode, fully automatic. We're in bulb mode, long press. So bulb mode, you long press the shutter, and you lose it, it releases the shutter. Okay, so that's bulb. And you have the TV, which is a shutter priority, and you have full manual mode. I don't even know what DEP means, but it's probably another programmed mode. And we go back to AV, which is what I use most. I just set my aperture and have the camera expose the scene for me based on the aperture that I selected. This is the AF mode. You have one shot single focus mode. You have a continuous servo mode, which is continuously focusing for sports or moving subjects. Okay. You have the, this is the exposure and flash compensation. So if I change this, you have the full matrix metering, you have a central weighted, and you have a spot metering mode. For the flash, I don't really know how to change the flash exposure, but you have the flash exposure changing option over there as well. You probably have to press some other button to do that, which you just have to guess and figure out which button is to change the flash exposure metering compensation. Okay, so those are the two, which they nicely indicate on each of those buttons for you. And it looks like there's also a function, if you press both of those, let's see what function it is. Okay, so that's for bracketing mode. If you choose this, it changes to different bracketing options. If you are shooting a tough scene, if you're shooting night exposures, you want to use bracketing to get some scenes. With this enabled, you can bracket from -1 to 0 to +1, all the way to 3 stops. And you can have a small bracketing of 0.3 stops and 0.7 stops option. So that's quite nice. I turn the bracketing off. And this is to change the ISO speed. You press those two buttons. You can manually change the ISO speed from, is there an auto ISO? Nope, there isn't a auto ISO, I believe. Nope. So ISO is, obviously you don't have auto ISO because your film is a fixed ISO speed. Sorry about that. But yeah, so if you don't have a film with the ISO coding on the film, you can manually set the ISO speed here, or you can override the ISO speed. But if you have the ISO speed set on the DX films, you don't have to worry about the ISO speed. Okay. Over here on the side, You have the Canon's dedicated, I believe, cable operations control over here. That will enable you for a few other exposure options, or like a remote exposure capability with this little controlling option. Over here you have a PC sync socket for your strobes. Let's see if I can rotate it off, or maybe it's, oh yeah, so there's a PC sync socket right here. So your standard options is all right here, and I believe this is a screwing cap. So you can probably screw it on there, and if not, just push it on there to close it. All right. So, and that's all the buttons there is. This is this button, I believe, it's customizable. You can use it to lock the AF and change some of the settings, I believe. And this one is mainly to change the exposure mode. So you can manually select the exposure points by pressing this button and changing the selected focusing point. Or if you go into the full automatic mode, okay, which shows as a circle, in that mode the camera selects based on different situations. It automatically selects the point for you, which is really nice and convenient. And for the most part, I leave it on full auto focusing mode for my needs. Okay, right now it's on spot metering. I want to change it back to, let's see, change the metering mode to full auto. Okay, so that's all the options that you can do here. The camera also boosts a whole bunch of custom functions that you probably need the manual to achieve. For example, like some default settings and film rewinding advancing functions, the advancing rewinding speed, and the noise level, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's just a whole bunch of settings that you normally wouldn't change on the fly. You have the option there. I'm going to open up the chamber for you so you can see. Okay, this is the film chamber right here. Again, it looks nice and clean. Now I got this camera in absolute mint condition. Probably not more than 10 rolls of film gone through this camera. Okay, so I was really lucky to get this camera, which is really, really nice. Now you can see the interesting design of the button here. You can still turn the button here, which is really nice. The button probably is integrated into the control function right here with the contact points, so try not to touch those. You have your DX rating contact points over there, and your film panel right here. Okay, this camera again is in mint condition, so really, really nice. So that's the internal of the camera, and once you close it, you go back into shooting mode. If you have the film loaded and your leads put into this area, it automatically turns and catches the camera and exposes it for you and set the shutter count to 1. Right now there's no shutter counts because there's no film. To open the door, it's a 2-level safety, so you can't just put this down to open the film. You have to press this button and then pull it down to open it. Okay, so it's right there. In the front of the camera, you have the lens release button. So if you press this, you can turn it on, turn it off. Exposes the front area. The mirror is absolutely big. It's beautiful. And you have your focusing panel over there, which is interchangeable, I believe. So you have a few options to change the panel. There's a little tab over here. Just, pull that tab and change to different focusing screens. And standard Canon L-mount lenses. So you can use all different kinds of lenses with this camera, which is really nice. And over here, this is the depth of field preview. If I press that, you can hear a little sound. Okay, so it turns on the depth of field depending on the aperture. So if I change this to f14, it's going to be a small aperture. Hopefully we can see the aperture goes small. See? And it's all done electronically. So this thing is powered by the lithium ion battery. So try not to change a lot of those settings when you're not using the camera. Also turn the camera off when you're not using it. But even you turn the camera off, it still drains the battery. So my best advice is, if you don't shoot a lot, if you don't shoot often, use a coin to take the battery out, and next time when you need to use it, put the battery back in. This way, the camera is going to guarantee last you quite a long time with a lot of rolls, being used. And other than that, again, top of the line camera, really no complaints. It also features a full flash metering. Now, I don't use flash a lot, but if you want through the lens metering and matrix flash metering, whatever, all those fancy modes, I was also lucky to get this Sigma EF530 DG Super flash. This flash supports Canon E-TTL 2 flash exposure, which is really nice. So basically, if I put this on here, okay, let me see if I can put it in there. And turn this loose and lock it. This becomes a very, very powerful camera with full automatic flash and TTL enabled, okay? So let's see. And we also have full automatic zoom based on the focal length. So I turn the zoom to automatic on this flash, and let's see if we can make an exposure. Just have it quickly expose. Nice. TTL metering, E-TTL metering, which is really, really nice, as indicated over there. We can also have a light over there. So you don't need a dedicated Canon flash. A lot of Sigma flashes back in the day are very, very nicely designed and works great with all the E-TTL and full automatic zoom function. Quite a lot of functions building on those flashes. So if you do get this camera, find one of those E-TTL flash, you're gonna have a nice film flash photography enabled camera with autofocus, auto zoom, auto everything, right? So if you shoot weddings creatively with a film camera, this is a great option, right? All right, so that's probably all the things I want to show you guys. And again, unfortunately, I don't have a silent wave motor lens to show you. With silent wave motor lens, this camera is going to perform at its best. It's going to focus very, very quickly. It's going to track its focus, and it's going to enable a beautiful continuous autofocus experience, one of the best experience you can have with a Canon film camera, okay? If you're looking for one of the best film camera, electronic film camera, and you don't care about, manual focus, you don't care about manual exposure. I'm a big manual focus, manual exposure guy, so you can say I have a lot of Minolta cameras, which is my personal choice for film photography. Look for one of those. And nowadays, I know it's quite costly. This camera in mint condition is probably gonna cost you around $700 to $800 online, and a L lens is gonna cost you. But if you already have L lenses, you're going back into film photography, you don't have to spend money on L lenses, which is a huge plus. But the L lenses is going to cost you somewhere from around $300 all the way to $1,000 and up for a nice L lens in great condition. Okay, so that's kind of a price range you're going to be expecting with the EOS-1 V nowadays with 2024 price and inflation. But other than that, it is a great camera. Okay. At the end of the video, I'm gonna give you some samples. I only took one roll of pictures with this camera, but I'm already super, super impressed with that one roll of film that I took. I'm just saying, exposure-wise, it nailed it. Focus-wise, it nailed that one roll. I never had any trouble exposing anything. I never had any trouble focusing on anything that I want to focus on, and it just performed flawlessly. Quite a joy to use. My only complaint, my only nitpicking on this camera is the battery life. I left the battery in there, even though I turned the camera off, the battery drained itself. So it definitely have battery drain issues. Take the battery out if you don't want battery to get drained. It also uses a proprietary battery without the high-speed grip. If you get a high-speed grip, you can use rechargeable NiMH batteries. But the downside with that grip is it's very, very heavy. You don't want to lug a super heavy camera around for the most part. And the proprietary battery, it's quite costly to get nowadays. That's my only grip and only complaint. Other than that, it's almost the perfect camera, okay?